From trash talk to real fights, these are the 100 most controversial UFC fighters who shocked the world inside and outside the octagon. At number 100, we have CM Punk Zero, martial arts experience, receiving UFC opportunities based solely on celebrity status, embarrassing performances, and taking spots from deserving fighters. His ability to secure high-profile fights without demonstrating any fighting credentials frustrated legitimate prospects. His pattern of amateur-level performances while receiving main-card positions generated significant resentment from fighters earning opportunities through merit. At number 99, we have Mike Jackson. Extremely limited skills, embarrassing performances against CM Punk, and inability to demonstrate professional fighting ability. His failure to capitalize on easy opportunities while displaying amateur-level techniques frustrated fans expecting minimum competency standards. His pattern of poor showings while receiving high-profile fights generated questions about matchmaking decisions. At number 98, we have Michel Pereira. Showboating that backfires, poor fight IQ despite athletic ability, and inability to focus on winning rather than entertainment. His tendency to prioritize flashy moves over effective fighting frustrated coaches and fans. His pattern of snatching defeat from victory through unnecessary risks while possessing clear advantages generated disappointment among supporters. At number 97, we have Santiago Ponzinibbio. Dirty fighting tactics, eye-poke issues, and poor sportsmanship toward opponents during and after fights. His tendency to commit fouls while claiming innocence frustrated fans expecting clean competition. His pattern of controversial moments combined with disrespectful behavior toward opponents generated negative reactions from supporters wanting professional conduct. At number 96, we have Neil Magny. Boring point fighting style, inability to finish opponents, and taking fights too frequently without proper preparation. His tendency to win through volume rather than effectiveness while fighting constantly frustrated fans, expecting quality over quantity. His pattern of decision victories while avoiding exciting exchanges generated mixed reactions from supporters wanting memorable performances. At number 95, we have Cathal Pendred Limited. Striking skills, boring fighting style, and questionable decision victories that appeared gift-wrapped by judges. His ability to win fights most observers felt he lost clearly generated controversy about judging standards. His pattern of receiving favorable decisions while displaying limited abilities frustrated fans expecting consistent officiating. At number 94, we have Chris Clements' limited skills, boring performances, and inability to compete at UFC level despite multiple chances. His failure to demonstrate UFC caliber abilities while receiving opportunities frustrated fans who wanted deserving fighters promoted. His pattern of poor showings while maintaining contracts generated negative reactions from supporters expecting higher standards. At number 93, we have Court McGee. Boring fighting style, limited skill development over long career, and inability to provide entertainment despite opportunities. His tendency to grind out decision victories while failing to improve techniques frustrated fans expecting growth. His pattern of average performances while maintaining roster position generated questions about talent evaluation and matchmaking decisions. At number 92, we have Sam Alvey. Boring fighting style, fake smile persona, and inability to capitalize on multiple UFC opportunities. His tendency to fight cautiously while maintaining forced positive attitude frustrated fans expecting authentic personalities. His pattern of mediocre performances while receiving chances other fighters deserved generated disappointment among supporters wanting roster spots earned through merit. At number 91, we have Elias Theodorou. Boring point fighting style, male model persona that seemed fake, and inability to finish fights despite opportunities. His tendency to win rounds through minimal activity while maintaining pretty boy image frustrated fans expecting warrior mentality. His pattern of decision victories while avoiding damage or excitement generated negative reactions from supporters wanting authentic competition. At number 90, we have Ryan Hall. Boring fighting style, focusing on leg attacks, strange movement patterns, and inability to engage in traditional combat. His unorthodox approach, while avoiding conventional exchanges, frustrated fans expecting normal fighting techniques. His tendency to pull guard and attack legs while avoiding striking generated mixed reactions from supporters preferring traditional martial arts displays.
At number 89, we have Demian Maia. Extremely boring fighting style, focusing solely on grappling, inability to adapt striking, and predictable approach to every fight. His one-dimensional game plan, while avoiding striking exchanges, frustrated fans expecting well-rounded mixed martial arts. His pattern of grinding out victories through control without damage or entertainment value generated disappointment among supporters wanting dynamic action.
At number 88, we have Ben Askren. Boring grinding style, arrogant attitude despite limited UFC success, an annoying social media persona. His confidence about his abilities while delivering minimal entertainment value frustrated fans. His tendency to talk trash while failing to back it up through exciting performances combined with his wrestling-heavy approach generated mixed reactions from supporters. At number 87, we have Tyron Woodley. Boring fighting style as champion, constant complaints about respect and money, and bitter attitude toward criticism. His tendency to fight cautiously while holding the title frustrated fans expecting championship-level excitement. His pattern of complaining about treatment while failing to deliver entertaining performances generated significant negative reactions from supporters. At number 86, we have Kamaru Usman. Boring wrestling-heavy style. Early in career, foot stomp tactics, and cringe-worthy attempts at trash talk. His grinding approach to fights while using questionable tactics like foot stomps frustrated fans expecting dynamic welterweight action. His awkward attempts at promoting fights through manufactured controversy generated negative reactions from supporters preferring authentic personalities. At number 85, we have Leon Edwards. Boring point fighting approach for most of career, lack of finishing ability, and bitter attitude about his treatment before title win. His tendency to win rounds through minimal activity while avoiding risks frustrated fans expecting exciting welterweight action. His complaints about opportunities while failing to deliver memorable performances generated mixed reactions before his championship success. At number 84, we have Belal Muhammad. Boring fighting style, constant complaints about rankings and recognition, and irritating social media presence. His tendency to grind out decision victories while avoiding exciting exchanges frustrated fans expecting welterweight excitement. His constant campaigning for opportunities while delivering minimal entertainment value generated negative reactions from supporters expecting more dynamic performances. At number 83, we have Curtis Blades. Boring wrestling-heavy style, inability to finish fights despite physical advantages, and complaints about rankings while failing to deliver exciting performances. His grinding approach to heavyweight fights frustrated fans expecting dynamic action from large athletes. His pattern of decision victories while possessing knockout power generated disappointment among supporters wanting entertainment. At number 82, we have Derek Lewis. Boring fighting style, despite knockout power, poor conditioning, and crude comments about various topics. His tendency to fight cautiously while possessing devastating power disappointed fans expecting exciting heavyweight action. His sometimes inappropriate comments about sensitive topics and his inconsistent effort levels generated mixed reactions from supporters. At number 81, we have Mark Hunt. While generally beloved, his bitter lawsuit against UFC and constant complaints about PED users fighting clean generated some negative reactions. His legal battles and public criticism of the organization while under contract frustrated some fans who preferred fighters to handle disputes privately. His sometimes hostile attitude toward media questions also generated minor controversies. At number 80, we have Stefan Struve. Poor fight IQ despite size advantages, inability to use reach effectively, and frustrating losses due to technical deficiencies. His failure to capitalize on obvious physical advantages while making basic mistakes frustrated fans who saw his potential. His pattern of losing fights he should win based on measurements generated disappointment among supporters. At number 79, we have Pat Barry. Poor fight IQ, leading to preventable losses, dating much younger women, raising questions about relationships, and inability to improve despite obvious talent. His pattern of snatching defeat from victory through poor decisions frustrated fans who wanted to see him succeed. His personal relationships also generated controversy and uncomfortable discussions about age differences. At number 78, we have Gleison Tibau. Failed drug test, boring fighting style, relying on size advantage and inability to finish opponents despite physical advantages. His PED violation disappointed fans who respected his durability and work rate. His tendency to use wrestling to control fights without seeking damage or finishes while chemically enhanced generated negative reactions from supporters. At number 77, we have Luigi Fioravanti limited skill set, boring performances, and inability to compete at UFC level despite multiple opportunities. His failure to develop beyond basic techniques while receiving chances that other fighters deserved frustrated fans. His pattern of poor performances while maintaining roster spots generated questions about matchmaking and talent evaluation. At number 76, we have Drew Fickett. Inconsistent performances, attitude problems with training and preparation, and wasted potential due to lack of dedication. His pattern of looking great in some fights while completely unprepared in others frustrated fans who saw his abilities. His reputation for poor training habits while maintaining overconfident attitude generated disappointment among supporters. At number 75, we have Spencer Fisher. Poor decision-making in fights, taking unnecessary damage, and inability to develop defensive skills over career. His tendency to engage in wars while absorbing massive damage worried fans about his long-term health. His inability to learn from mistakes while continuing to take punishment in avoidable situations generated concern rather than pure hatred. At number 74, we have Tyson Griffin. Boring fighting style, poor conditioning in important fights, and inability to capitalize on early career promise. His tendency to fight cautiously while possessing skills to be more dynamic disappointed fans. His pattern of declining performances after promising start while maintaining confidence in limited abilities frustrated supporters expecting improvement. At number 73, we have Sean Shirk. Failed drug test for steroids, boring grinding fighting style, an arrogant attitude about his abilities. His PED violation shocked fans who respected his work ethic and conditioning. His tendency to grind out decision victories while avoiding exciting exchanges combined with his steroid use generated significant negative reactions from supporters. At number 72, we have Clay Guida. Boring fighting style despite high activity levels, running around cage without engaging, and inability to finish fights. His tendency to move constantly while avoiding meaningful exchanges frustrated fans expecting exciting lightweight action. His pattern of winning rounds through activity rather than effective striking or grappling generated mixed reactions from supporters. At number 71, we have Leonard Garcia. Benefited from controversial judging decisions, wild flailing striking technique, and poor sportsmanship after losses. His ability to win fights many observers felt he lost clearly generated controversy about judging standards. His emotional reactions to criticism and his inability to accept when opponents outperformed him frustrated fans expecting professionalism. At number 70, we have Gray Maynard. Boring wrestling heavy style, inability to finish fights, and poor conditioning in championship opportunities. His tendency to take opponents down repeatedly without advancing position or seeking finishes frustrated fans. His pattern of gassing out in important fights while maintaining grinding approach generated disappointment among supporters, expecting championship-level conditioning. At number 69, we have John Fitch. Boring lay and pray fighting style, refused to fight teammate Josh Koscheck, and bitter attitude about his treatment. His grinding approach to fights while avoiding damage or finishes frustrated fans wanting exciting welterweight battles. His refusal to fight training partners while complaining about title shot opportunities generated negative reactions from supporters and management.
At number 68, we have Jake Shields. extremely boring fighting style, focusing on grinding opponents without damage, failed drug test and poor striking skills. His ability to win fights through grinding control while providing minimal entertainment value frustrated fans expecting exciting welterweight action. His PED violation also disappointed supporters who respected his grappling credentials and work ethic.
At number 67, we have Heath Herring. Boring, fighting style, poor conditioning, and lack of improvement despite long career and opportunities. His tendency to fight cautiously while possessing skills to be more exciting disappointed fans. His inability to capitalize on opportunities while maintaining average performance levels generated frustration among supporters who wanted heavyweight division excitement. At number 66, we have Mirko Cro Cop Filipovic. Disappointing UFC run after legendary Pride career, lack of adaptation to different rules, and bitter comments about American MMA. His failure to replicate Pride's success in UFC while making excuses about rule differences frustrated fans who expected legendary performances. His criticism of American fighters and promotion methods generated negative reactions from domestic audiences. At number 65, we have Gabriel Gonzaga. Inconsistent performances, failed drug test, and inability to capitalize on early career success, including spectacular head kick knockout. His pattern of looking amazing in one fight followed by terrible performances in the next frustrated fans who wanted consistency. His PED violation later in career also disappointed supporters who respected his early achievements. At number 64, we have Cheick Kongo. Boring point fighting approach, inability to finish fights despite size advantages, and lack of improvement over long career. His tendency to fight cautiously while possessing physical tools to be exciting disappointed fans expecting dynamic heavyweight action. His pattern of decision victories in fights where finishes seemed possible generated frustration among supporters. At number 63, we have Caleb Starnes. Running away from opponent during fight, showing complete lack of warrior spirit and embarrassing performance that damaged sport's reputation. His decision to literally run away from Nate Quarry rather than engage in combat frustrated fans who expected competitive fights. His cowardly performance became one of the most criticized displays in UFC history. At number 62, we have Elvis Senosic. Overhyped based on early career success, poor performances in UFC, and inability to adapt to higher-level competition. His failure to deliver on expectations despite significant promotional support disappointed fans. His limited skills becoming obvious against elite competition, while maintaining overconfident attitude, frustrated supporters who wanted Australian representation to succeed. At number 61, we have Houston Alexander. Limited skill set exposed after initial hype, boring performances after early knockouts, and lack of improvement over time. His inability to develop beyond basic striking while receiving significant opportunities frustrated fans. His pattern of declining performances while maintaining confidence in abilities that were clearly limited generated negative reactions. At number 60, we have Saw Kuju. Spectacular rise, followed by complete collapse, unprofessional training habits, and wasted potential that disappointed fans. His dramatic early victories, followed by consistently poor performances, suggested lack of dedication to improvement. His inability to maintain conditioning and skills despite early success frustrated fans who wanted to see him develop. At number 59, Brandon Vera. Failed to live up to enormous hype, poor performances in big fights, and bitter attitude about his treatment by UFC management. His inability to deliver on his potential, despite significant promotional investment, frustrated fans and promoters. His complaints about opportunities while failing to capitalize on chances he received generated resentment among supporters. At number 58, we have Marcus Davis. Controversial comments about opponents, boring fighting style, and bitter attitude about his place in welterweight rankings. His tendency to make inflammatory statements while failing to deliver exciting performances frustrated fans. His complaints about not receiving proper recognition while displaying limited skills generated negative reactions from supporters. At number 57, we have Melvin Giard. Legal troubles including assault charges, financial irresponsibility, and immature behavior that hindered his career development. His pattern of poor decision-making outside competition and his inability to learn from mistakes frustrated fans who saw his potential. His legal issues and unprofessional behavior limited his opportunities and disappointed supporters. At number 56, we have Gilbert Yvel. Multiple disqualifications for illegal strikes, reputation for dirty fighting tactics, and poor sportsmanship throughout career. His pattern of intentionally breaking rules and his disregard for opponent safety generated negative reactions from fans and officials. His inability to compete cleanly while maintaining professional standards made him difficult to support. At number 55, we have Jeff Monson. Controversial political activism, including anarchist beliefs, arrest for property destruction, and anti-American statements while competing in America. His extreme political views and his actions during protests that resulted in criminal charges frustrated fans who disagreed with his methods. His decision to represent other countries while criticizing America also generated patriotic backlash. At number 54, we have Rico Rodriguez. Weight-cutting failures, unprofessional behavior, and association with questionable training methods and coaches. His inability to maintain professional conditioning standards while competing at the highest level frustrated fans and promoters. His pattern of missing weight and his association with controversial figures in the sport generated ongoing negative attention. At number 53, we have Pedro Rizzo. Boring fighting style that relied heavily on leg kicks, lack of finishing ability, and poor English skills affecting promotion. His repetitive approach to fights and inability to finish opponents despite having opportunities frustrated fans expecting more dynamic performances. His limited communication skills also hindered his ability to build fan interest and promote fights effectively. At number 52, we have Andrei Arlovsky. Perceived lack of heart in big fights, point fighting approach that disappointed fans expecting violence, and bitter attitude after losses. His tendency to fight cautiously in main event situations, while fans expected aggressive performances, created disappointment. His complaints about judging and treatment while failing to deliver exciting fights generated frustration among supporters. At number 51, we have Tim Sylvia. Arrogant attitude, despite limited skills, embarrassing losses, and poor sportsmanship toward opponents throughout career. His tendency to talk trash while failing to back it up in competition frustrated fans. His awkward fighting style, combined with his condescending attitude toward more skilled opponents, made him easy to dislike for many supporters. At number 50, we have Jens Pulver. Bitter attitude about his treatment by UFC, financial struggles leading to desperate comeback attempts, and erratic behavior. His complaints about not receiving proper compensation while making poor career decisions frustrated fans. His pattern of comeback attempts despite obvious physical decline and his bitter public statements about the organization generated negative reactions. At number 49, we have Leben Chris. Alcohol and substance abuse issues, multiple arrests, including DUI incidents, and aggressive behavior toward training partners. His well-documented struggles with addiction and his pattern of legal troubles created concern among fans. His reputation for being difficult to train with, due to his aggressive approach and substance issues, limited his career potential. At number 48, we have Stephan Bonner. Multiple failed drug tests for various substances, DUI arrests, and erratic behavior that overshadowed his contributions to sport. His pattern of substance abuse issues and legal troubles disappointed fans who appreciated his role in early UFC growth. His inability to maintain professionalism while representing the sport during its crucial development period created ongoing controversies. At number 47, we have Matt Serra. Loud, obnoxious personality that rubbed many fans wrong. Controversial title win, many considered lucky, and abrasive coaching style on Tough. His tendency to be overly aggressive in verbal confrontations and his sometimes disrespectful behavior toward opponents frustrated fans. His coaching methods and treatment of fighters on reality shows also generated criticism. At number 46, we have Mark Coleman. failed drug tests and PED admissions, bitter attitude about not receiving proper recognition, and controversial training methods. His later admission to steroid use throughout his career disappointed fans who respected his wrestling credentials. His complaints about not being properly honored while admitting to cheating created contradictory situations that frustrated supporters. At number 45, we have Tank Abbott, crude behavior and comments, association with bar fights and criminal activity, and unprofessional attitude toward competition. His reputation for violence outside sanctioned competition and his crude commentary about opponents and situations frustrated fans who wanted the sport to gain mainstream acceptance. His inability to represent MMA professionally during its early growth period hurt the sport's image. At number 44, we have Ken Shamrock. Bitter feuds with other fighters, questionable fight results, and refusing to retire despite obvious physical decline. His ongoing conflicts with former training partners and his pattern of controversial losses that looked suspicious to fans generated negative reactions. His inability to gracefully transition away from competition while maintaining dignity disappointed longtime supporters. At number 43, we have Tito Ortiz, delusional statements about his fighting ability, feuds with management over money, and conspiracy theory promotion in later years. His inability to accept his declining skills while making excuses for losses frustrated fans. His venture into politics and promotion of questionable theories about various topics further damaged his credibility and reputation among former supporters. At number 42, we have Matt Hughes, arrogant personality revealed in autobiography, bullying behavior toward training partners, and controversial comments about various topics. His book revealed disturbing stories about his treatment of others and his self-centered worldview that shocked fans who admired his fighting career. His inability to show humility or genuine respect for opponents damaged his reputation among supporters. At number 41, we have Roy Nelson. Unprofessional appearance and conditioning, constant complaints about heavyweight rankings, and bitter attitude toward UFC management. His refusal to improve his physical conditioning while demanding better treatment frustrated fans and promoters. His constant criticism of the organization while failing to meet professional standards created ongoing tension and limited his career opportunities. At number 40, we have Frank Mir, disturbing comments about wanting to kill opponents, failed drug tests later in career, and arrogant attitude during prime. His graphic statements about hoping to be the first person to kill someone in the octagon, while meant to promote fights, crossed lines of acceptable trash talk. His later PED failures tainted his legacy, and his condescending attitude toward younger fighters created resentment. At number 39, we have Fabricio Werdum. Disrespectful behavior toward fans and media, controversial political statements, and poor sportsmanship during fights. His rude behavior toward Brazilian fans who didn't support him and his inflammatory comments about politics generated backlash. His tendency to complain about judging and his sometimes unprofessional conduct during competition frustrated supporters. At number 38, we have Cody Garbrandt. Gang affiliations and tattoos, immature behavior, including social media feuds, and poor sportsmanship after losses. His association with questionable individuals and his tendency to escalate conflicts beyond professional competition concerned fans. His inability to handle criticism or defeats gracefully, combined with his aggressive social media presence, generated ongoing controversies. At number 37, we have TJ Dillashaw. Failed drug test for EPO, betraying former teammates by leaving gym dramatically, and arrogant attitude throughout career. His PED violation was particularly shocking given his criticism of other fighters for similar issues. His departure from Team Alpha Male and subsequent feuds with former training partners created ongoing drama and highlighted loyalty issues within the sport. At number 36, we have Henry Cejudo. Cringe-worthy persona, including King of Cringe character, premature retirement for money/respect, and annoying social media presence. His over-the-top promotional antics and his decision to retire while holding championships frustrated fans who wanted to see him defend his titles. His constant attention-seeking behavior and manufactured controversies wore thin with many supporters. At number 35, we have Dominic Cruz. Arrogant attitude toward opponents, controversial judging decisions in close fights, and condescending behavior toward media and fans. His tendency to dismiss opponents' abilities and his sometimes bitter reactions to criticism have frustrated supporters. His long absence due to injuries while maintaining championship status also created resentment among active contenders. At number 34, we have Daniel Cormier. Perceived fake humble persona, bitter rivalry with Jon Jones that sometimes cross professional lines, and controversial commentating bias. While generally respected, his intense hatred for Jones and his sometimes hypocritical behavior regarding rule enforcement frustrated some fans. His commentating favoritism towards certain fighters and his emotional reactions to perceived slights also generated criticism. At number 33, we have Jason Mayhem Miller. Multiple arrests for domestic violence and bizarre behavior, mental health issues affecting his professionalism, and erratic media appearances. His pattern of legal troubles and concerning behavior patterns worried fans about his mental state. His inability to maintain stability outside competition and his troubling interactions with law enforcement created ongoing controversies throughout his later career. At number 32, we have Paul Daly's sucker punch of Josh Koscheck. After their fight ended, showing complete lack of sportsmanship and respect for competition rules. His cheap shot after the final bell demonstrated poor character and resulted in his permanent ban from UFC competition. The incident highlighted the importance of controlling emotions and respecting opponents regardless of personal feelings. At number 31, we have Abel Trujillo. Multiple arrests, including DUI incidents, domestic violence allegations, and unprofessional behavior that led to UFC release. His inability to stay out of legal trouble while maintaining a professional fighting career frustrated promoters and fans. His pattern of self-destructive behavior and legal issues overshadowed any potential he showed inside the octagon. At number 30, we have Thiago Silva. Domestic violence charges involving threatening ex-wife with weapons, failed drug tests, and overall volatile behavior. His arrest for felony charges related to threatening his ex-wife and her trainer with firearms shocked the MMA community. His pattern of failed drug tests combined with his violent criminal behavior made him one of the most problematic fighters in UFC history. At number 29, we have Jeremy Stephens. Criminal history including assault charges, reputation for injuring training partners, and reckless fighting style. His legal troubles and reputation for being difficult to train with due to his aggressive sparring approach has generated negative reactions. His comment about killing people in the octagon, while meant figuratively, combined with his actual violent incidents, created an uncomfortable association.
At number 28, we have Mike Perry, history of domestic violence allegations, racist comments, and erratic behavior including punching elderly men in restaurants. His pattern of aggressive behavior outside competition, combined with inflammatory social media posts and questionable personal relationships, has created ongoing controversies. His inability to control his temper in civilian settings has repeatedly generated negative headlines.
At number 27, we have homophobic and transphobic comments, aggressive behavior toward media and fans, and controversial political statements. His pattern of making offensive comments about LGBTQ+ individuals and his confrontational attitude toward journalists and civilians has generated significant backlash. His inability to separate personal beliefs from professional representation has hurt his marketability and fan support. At number 26, we have Alistair Overeem. Long history of suspicious physical transformations, multiple failed tests, and arrogant attitude during career peak. His dramatic physical changes between organizations and his elevated testosterone levels generated skepticism about his natural abilities. His sometimes condescending attitude toward opponents and perceived sense of entitlement also frustrated fans throughout his career. At number 25, we have Antonio Bigfoot Silva. Multiple failed drug tests throughout career, suspicious physical transformation, and lack of accountability for PED use. His pattern of testing positive for banned substances while claiming ignorance or tainted supplements frustrated fans. His continued competition despite multiple violations made many question the effectiveness of drug testing and punishment in combat sports. At number 24, we have Cain Velasquez. Criminal charges for attempting to murder someone who allegedly molested his relative, showing vigilante justice mentality. While many sympathized with his motivation, his decision to take justice into his own hands and endanger innocent civilians during a high-speed chase and shooting incident shocked the MMA community and resulted in serious legal consequences. At number 23, we have Miesha Tate. Perceived jealousy toward Ronda Rousey's success, immature behavior during rivalry, and controversial retirement timing. Her inability to handle being overshadowed by Rousey's popularity led to petty comments and behavior that frustrated fans. Her decision to retire immediately after losing her title, rather than defending it, disappointed supporters who wanted to see her grow the women's division. At number 22, we have Uriah Faber. Overhyped fighting ability relative to his promotional push, association with questionable training methods, and perceived fake humble persona. While not universally hated, his tendency to receive opportunities many felt were undeserved, combined with his sometimes condescending attitude toward opponents, generated negative reactions. His coaching decisions and gym politics also created controversies within the sport. At number 21, we have BJ Penn. Multiple bar fight videos, DUI arrests, and refusing to retire despite obvious decline in abilities. His post-prime career became a series of embarrassing performances and legal troubles that damaged his legendary status. The leaked videos of street fights and his inability to walk away from competition gracefully disappointed fans who remembered his elite prime years. At number 20, we have Diego Sanchez. Association with questionable coach Joshua Fabia, bizarre behavior and conspiracy theories, and concerning CTE-related symptoms. His relationship with Fabia, who promoted unscientific training methods and created unnecessary drama, worried fans about his mental health. His erratic interviews and strange behavior patterns have generated more concern than hatred, but frustration with his choices. At number 19, we have Darren Till. Multiple weight-cutting failures, legal troubles including taxi incident in Brazil, and immature behavior outside competition. His inability to make contracted weight repeatedly while maintaining a party lifestyle frustrated fans and fellow fighters. His arrest in Brazil for allegedly stealing a taxi and damaging property highlighted his poor decision-making outside the octagon. At number 18, we have Paulo Costa. Admitted to using IV fluids on fight day, which violates anti-doping policies, body-shaming opponents, and making excuses after losses. His confession about IV usage after the Israel Adesanya fight damaged his credibility regarding clean competition. His tendency to make personal attacks on opponents' appearances while failing to back up his trash talk has frustrated fans. At number 17, we have Yoel Romero. Multiple failed drug tests and suspicious supplement claims, plus dangerous late finishes and controversial judging in close fights. His pattern of benefiting from questionable situations, including the Tim Kennedy stool incident, has led many fans to view him with suspicion. His advanced age combined with exceptional physical performance has raised ongoing PED questions throughout his career. At number 16, we have Brock Lesnar. Part-time commitment to UFC while maintaining WE career, failed drug test upon return, and perceived disrespect toward MMA traditions. His ability to receive title shots despite limited octagon time frustrated dedicated fighters and fans. His positive drug test after the Mark Hunt fight particularly angered supporters who felt he cheated against a clean, respected veteran. At number 15, we have War Machine, Jonathan Koppenhaver, convicted of domestic violence and sexual assault charges, serving life sentence for brutal attack on ex-girlfriend Christy Mack. His case represents one of the most serious criminal situations involving a UFC fighter. The severity of his crimes and the graphic nature of the assault shocked the MMA community and highlighted issues of violence outside competition. At number 14, we have Rampage Jackson Road Rage Incident. involving high-speed chase while allegedly under influence, erratic behavior, and disrespectful comments toward women. His dangerous driving incident that endangered civilian lives was particularly troubling to fans. His sometimes crude comments about female reporters and fighters, combined with his unpredictable behavior, generated significant negative publicity. At number 13, we have Josh Koscheck. Fake injury claims, poor sportsmanship, and generally abrasive personality that rubbed fans the wrong way during his tough appearances. His tendency to embellish injuries and play up minor contact for referee attention, combined with his arrogant demeanor and disrespectful comments about opponents, made him one of the most disliked welterweights of his era. At number 12, we have Chael Sonnen. Money laundering conviction, excessive trash talk that often crossed personal lines, and failed drug tests. His criminal background, combined with his over-the-top promotional style and subsequent PED failures, made fans question his authenticity. Many viewed him as a fraud who built his career on lies and performance-enhancing substances rather than legitimate skill. At number 11, we have Anderson Silva. Failed drug tests that tainted his incredible legacy, leg break celebration controversy, and perceived arrogance during his prime. The revelation of PED use shocked fans who considered him one of the greatest clean fighters ever. His positive tests for steroids during the Diaz fight particularly upset fans who felt he cheated against someone known for clean competition.
At number 10, we have Nate Diaz. Similar issues to his brother Nick regarding professionalism and media obligations, plus his association with controversial figures. His tendency to create drama around contract negotiations and his sometimes disrespectful behavior toward opponents and officials has generated negative reactions, though he maintains a loyal fan base who appreciate his authenticity.
At number 9, we have Nick Diaz. Multiple marijuana-related suspensions, no-shows to press conferences, and apparent lack of professionalism toward the sport. His attitude toward promotional duties and consistent issues with athletic commissions have frustrated fans and promoters. Despite his fighting ability, his unreliability and confrontational attitude toward authority figures have created ongoing controversies.
At number 8, we have Wanderlei Silva. Running from drug testers, failed tests, and aggressive behavior toward officials and opponents. His refusal to comply with USADA testing protocols and subsequent ban from competition frustrated fans who wanted to see him compete cleanly. His erratic behavior and inflammatory statements about drug testing have damaged his reputation significantly.
At number 7, we have Jorge Masvidal's street fight mentality, leading to criminal charges for attacking Colby Covington outside restaurants, promoting violence outside sanctioned competition. His three-piece and a soda incident and subsequent legal troubles have shown a pattern of taking fights beyond the octagon, which many fans find unprofessional and dangerous for the sport's image. At number 6, we have Ronda Rousey. Poor sportsmanship after losses, refusing to show respect to opponents, and disappearing from public eye after defeats. Her inability to handle adversity gracefully, combined with her coach's controversial methods and her own attitude toward media obligations, turned many fans against her. Her Sandy Hook conspiracy comments also generated significant backlash. At number 5, we have Chuck Liddell. While initially beloved, his refusal to retire despite obvious decline led to dangerous knockouts and concern for his health. His later career became painful to watch as he continued fighting well past his prime, with many fans feeling he was damaging his legacy and risking serious injury for money and ego reasons. At number 4, we have Tito Ortiz. Narcissistic personality, questionable fight decisions, feuds with UFC management, and bizarre political conspiracy theories. His tendency to make everything about himself, combined with declining performance while maintaining a massive ego, has frustrated fans. His post-fighting career political statements have further damaged his reputation among many supporters.
At number 3, we have Conor McGregor. Arrogant behavior, criminal incidents, including the bus attack at UFC 223, sexual assault allegations, attacking elderly men in bars, and controversial social media posts. His transformation from beloved underdog to perceived entitled celebrity has alienated many fans who once supported his rise to stardom and appreciated his charismatic fighting spirit.
At number 2, we have Colby Covington. Intentionally provocative persona, involving political statements, insulting entire countries and cultures, and personal attacks on opponents' families. His heel character often crosses lines of basic respect, making inflammatory comments about Brazil, calling Jorge Masvidal's children street rats, and consistently stirring controversy for attention and fight promotion purposes. At number 1, we have Jon Jones. Multiple legal troubles, including hit-and-run incidents, failed drug tests for PEDs, domestic violence allegations, and erratic behavior outside the octagon. Despite his incredible talent, his personal issues have overshadowed his legacy. Many fans view him as someone who repeatedly throws away his potential due to poor decision-making and lack of accountability.